Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting Srimad Bhagvatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad Bhagvatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagvatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktischena Navalakshana Kriyate Bhagavati Adha Tanmanye Aditamuttamam. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. So, we are reading Canto 7, Chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagvatam. This is the week of Nrsimha Chaturdashi, and we are reading that section of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu's meeting. This is the second meeting where Hiranyakashipu has asked, what is the best thing, Prahlad, you learned from Gurukul? So Prahlad Maharaj tells, this is the Uttama. Tanmanye Aditamuttamam. That's the best thing. What? The Navdha Bhakti. So we are in the purport of this Navdha Bhakti process. We discuss Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, remembering. Then we are at Archanam section. Sorry, Padasevanam also we covered. And then is Archanam, number 5. So Prabhupada is explaining in multiple pages. So let's read. Hare Krishna. So I'm reading the purport. It's halfway through the Archanam section. Now let us discuss the offenses in deity worship. The following are offenses: to enter the temple with shoes or being carried on a palanquin. B. Not to observe the prescribed festivals. C. To avoid offering obeisance in the front of the deity. D. To offer prayers in an unclean state, not having washed one's hands after eating. D. E. To offer obeisance with one hand. F. To circumambulate directly in front of the deity. G. To spread one's legs before the deity. H. To sit before the deity while holding one's ankles with one's hands. I. To lie down before the deity. J. To eat before the deity. K. To speak lies before the deity. L. To address someone loudly before the deity. M. To talk nonsense about or before the deity. N. To cry before the deity. O. To argue before the deity. P. To chastise someone before the deity. Q. To show someone favor before the deity, or to use harsh words before the deity. S. To wear a woolen blanket before the deity. T. To blaspheme someone before the deity. U. To worship someone else before the deity. V. To use vulgar language before the deity. W. To pass air before the deity. X. To avoid very opulent worship of the deity even though one is able to perform it. Y. To eat something not offered to the deity. Z. To avoid offering fresh fruits to the deity according to the season. A. To offer food to the deity which has already been used or from which has first been given to others. In other words, food should not be distributed to anyone else until it has been offered to the deity. BB. To sit with one's back toward the deity. CC. To offer obeisance to someone else in front of the deity. DD. Not to chant proper prayers when offering obeisance to the spiritual master. EE. To praise oneself before the deity. And FF. To blaspheme the demigods. In the worship of the deity, these 32 offenses should be avoided. So, a lot of content here in this 32 points. Again, I will not reread everything. Most things are pretty straightforward, but just to remember one thing, we serve deities in the mood of lot of awe and reverence, and all these rules are there to remind us that Krishna is a person, and not just an ordinary person. He is a very, very respectable person, and he is the central figure of the temple, of the home. If there is someone very, very respectable and central figure of the home, we won't talk loudly before them, right? We won't use harsh words for them or before them, etc. All these things, we don't show them our feet to them. Or if they're sitting, we don't turn our back towards them. So Krishna is a person, and when we are worshipping in the mood of awe and reverence, so all these rules are there to help us remind that. Again, the essence of all rules is to remember Krishna and to not forget Krishna. So one should not get overwhelmed that there are so many rules and regulations, but gradually we should try to follow all step by step. As I said, in the Panchatrika Vidhi there are so many things, but let's try to get better and slowly the best. Anyone has any questions or about this section or any particular? So one Prabhu was mentioning, I see these rules and regulations as a way to keep our desires at bay and practice them as we recognize and internalize that we are part and parcel of the Lord. Yes, it's a nice comment. Okay. And we have to always remember, that regulations are there to help us make progress in bhakti. Like one example which I remember, that someone offered obeisance to a Maharaj to a senior devotee in the temple, and that person so kind of, I don't remember the exact details, but the point was that someone was narrating the story, that how there are like major rules and minor rules. Like if someone out of ignorance or he or she didn't know that there's a rule like that, and he offered the obeisance to a senior devotee, and then that person chastised in front of the deity. So later this topic was brought, and so the bigger rule is not to chastise the other. That's also a rule. So I'm not sure if I'm making a lot of sense here, but the point was that there are some core rules and there are some minor rules, major rules, minor rules, things like all of those are there to help us make spiritual progress. If one unknowingly does, it's not that we, like for example, one is touching ankle and they are a new person. It's not that we say, go and chastise them or things like that. It's okay. New people are coming; they may not be aware, especially in a country like US. It's okay. So that they take their time, and when the right time, they'll get to know everything by Krishna's mercy. But the bigger rule is that they're coming. So I'm always focusing on the positives more. That's the point. That Prabhupada never focused on the negative. And if we see, in the beginning, Prabhupada never said to the hippies, don't do this, don't do that. He just said, chant Krishna's name. So in the beginning, we must focus on the positives more rather than the negatives. And in the right time, Krishna will, through the purification will happen through his Shravanam Kirtanam, and then everything will happen. If one is sincere, one will take. Okay, if there are no comments, any comments before we move on to the next piece? Okay, let's read the next section. Would someone like to read, please? Anyone who didn't read yesterday would like to read?
I can read, Prabhu.
Mataji, you want to read? Okay. Umesh Prabhu, you can read, and then Sundari Priya Mataji can read.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. In Avaraha Purana, the following offenses are mentioned. A. To eat in the house of a rich man. B. To enter the deity's room in a dark. C. To worship the deity without following the regulative principle. D. To enter the temple without vibrating any sound. E. To collect food that has been seen by a dog. F. To break silence while offering worship to the deity. G. To go to the toilet during the time of worshipping the deity. H. To offer incense without offering flowers. I. To worship the deity with forbidden flowers. J. To begin worship without having washed one's teeth. K. To begin worship after sex. L. To touch a lamb, dead body, or woman during her menstrual period, or to put on red or bluish clothing, unwashed clothing, the clothing of others, or soiled clothing. Other offenses are to worship the deity after seeing a dead body, to pass air before the deity, to show anger before the deity, and to worship the deity just after returning from a crematorium. After eating, one should not worship the deity until one has digested his food, nor should one touch the deity or engage in any deity worship after eating safflower oil or hing. These are also offenses. So here the continuation after the arcanam, Prabhupada is continuously talking these offenses and as Prabhuji said, that this is for our make a progress. Myself, I didn't know many of these things, but now I'm reading, and probably I'm going to follow as much as I can. Thank you. Back to you, Krishna Prabhu.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, there are a lot of rules and regulations, but if someone has any specific question, and always, like, recently I asked one of the senior devotees about a question, which was little like, there are certain like gray areas, so it was in a kind of a gray area question. He gave me a very nice reply, and he said, out of the principles of bhakti, so I'm not like pointing to any aspect here. So for example, you can say like multiple points in this can be in that zone, without referring to any particular point. So he said, the question I asked, what percentage of our bhakti principles would you give to that question? So he asked me a question. I said maybe 0.01. And then he was like laughing. He said, see, the core is, and how much percentage weightage will you give to good association of devotees, good chanting, good reading, good hearing, deity worship, service to Vaishnava, service to Guru. All these are core. And I'm not saying that these are not important. Certainly they're in Bhagavatam, they're in the scriptures, they are important. But one should not miss on the core, and as his Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu says, don't major in minor things. So these are important, but the time will come. One has to be strict with oneself and lenient with others. And time will come, that the right time will come, then everyone will take. And sometimes some things may totally, based on time, place, situations, one has to see. These are like the ideal topmost standards. To follow everything may be quite challenging in this day and age. But there's always good, better, best kind of scenario. One should not miss on the core. That's all I would say. Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's read the next paragraph or two. Yes, Sundari Priya Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In other places, the following offences are listed: to be against the scriptural injunctions of the Vedic literature, or to disrespect within one's heart the Srimad Bhagvatam while externally falsely accepting its principles, to introduce differing shastras, to chew pan and betel before the deity, D. To keep flowers for worship on the leaf of a castor oil plant. E. To worship the deity in the afternoon. F. To sit on the altar or to sit on the floor of worship the deity without a seat. G. To touch the deity with the left hand while bathing the deity. H. To worship the deity with a stale or used flower. I. To spit while worshipping the deity. J. To advertise one's glory while worshipping the deity. K. To apply tilaka to one's forehead in a curved way. L. To enter the temple without having washed one's feet. M. To offer the deity food cooked by an uninitiated person. N. To worship the deity and offer bhoga to the deity within the vision of an uninitiated person or non-Vaishnava. Oh, to offer worship to the deity without worshipping Vaikuntha deities like Ganesha. P. To worship the deity while perspiring. Q. To refuse flower offered to the deity. R. To take a vow or oath in the holy name of the Lord. Okay. So we see that these principles are given so that we have a guideline. Just like if we drive on a freeway, we have to follow the rules and regulation. If we drive on the other side or go on other people's lane and take unprotected turn on a freeway or don't put an indicator, then it's going to be a crash. Similarly, these rules and regulations are there so that conditioned soul like me can purify, can reach to the Vaikuntha consciousness. And our acharyas really thought through these, and here it says that Srimad Bhagvatam, if we disrespect in one's heart, and externally accept the principle, is just not, because Srimad Bhagvatam is not different than the deity itself. So we so much we have to have that consciousness. Always listen, even when we see Krishna's paraphernalia, it should remind us that how Radharani is going to offer these flowers to Krishna, how we want her to have a shining plate. If a president of United States was supposed to come, in a state, how we saw in India, they made a whole, they cleaned the roads. If we can do that for an external material person that we have no personal relationship and he's not going to deliver us. So imagine Krishna, who's taking us birth after birth. He's tolerating everything for me, and he's sitting in my heart, witnessing my pros and cons of my life, or which life I'm taking, how much attention and love I need to give. This whole process of deity worship and the following the rules and regulations makes us clean our heart. One time one of the sannyasis taught me that the cleaner your paraphernalia for the deity worship is, the cleaner your heart will get. In my opinion, that was one of the most precious service since I heard that from 5-6 years ago. And I love, even if it's just lying there, I just want to just clean it, because it is an opportunity to serve the pujaris in the temple. It's an opportunity to take that service and clean my heart. That's the process we have to take. And instead of taking these regulations as a baggage on our head, that I never want to become a brahmana, I never want to touch deity worship because I may do an offense. That's not the mood here. The mood is that we take so much love, so much care, that Krishna is pleased by our service. Actually, deity worship is an opportunity to show Krishna that, Krishna, I'm completely useless. I am completely envious of you. I'm completely this thing. But still, today I want to follow this rule because my acharyas have taught me this, and I want to please you. I want to serve you. I want to offer you the freshest flower possible. I want to follow this rule so my heart gets clean. And every time we chant that mantra, to offer it to the Lord sees our effort, and maybe at some lifetime, somewhere, Krishna will say, okay, this person, it was not eligible to do any of this and didn't have qualification but tried. It's the matter of going outside our comfort zone and trying something that will make a huge progress in our spiritual life. So that's how I see these rules and regulation. I remember first time when I read it in Nectar of Devotion, I was like overwhelmed, and when I asked questions to my senior devotees, they said, just follow shadow. When you start, you don't shy away. First of all, don't be overwhelmed and don't shy away from deity worship. Most important thing is follow somebody who is practicing and is inspiring you to do the right thing, and you know that just shadow them and apprentice small things. Do one thing and perfect it. Okay, I say, okay, this is the kind of garland I want to make, and every time improve on it. Follow somebody who's doing it perfectly. So these are the little steps that are very, very encouraging. And sometimes we may not do it right, or we are not happy with our own progress, but Krishna helps us, and Krishna, even then, he accepts it. He's bhavagra. He sees that we have tried to follow our acharyas, but sometimes we fail, but he still is just like a little kid, if he tries to make a PBJ sandwich for you, even if the jam is all over the plate, or it's a 2-year-old kid, you'll bow down and say, thank you so much for thinking of me and making this sandwich for me. Similarly, Krishna is standing there and saying, thank you for just offering me these flowers or paraphernalia or whatever our heart inspires us to do. So that's my understanding, Prabhuji. Please correct and add.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. So nice. Okay, let's continue reading. Would someone like to read the next 2 paragraphs? Anyone who didn't read yesterday?
Prabhuji, I have a question about this paragraph. So here it's listed first, the offenses are 3 parts. I just seen Baraha Purana, and then the other places the following offenses are listed. And I have a question about to offer the deity food cooked by an uninitiated person. So, Prabhuji, that means I'm not an initiated person. And in my home, we have a very restriction, and I brought up with a very restriction. Only in our house we have Radha Krishna in India, and only my mom and my auntie used to worship the deity and cook for him, and there is a big restriction. But here, after coming here, I offer food to the deities. Just so that means I'm doing offense?
That's a good question, Mataji. So, in most scenarios, the initiation mentioned here is the second initiation, and that is for the temple deities, actually. So, at home, for Grihasthas, there is a lot of flexibility. So don't worry, you're not doing offense if you're offering with love and devotion and following the basic rules, like chanting a few rounds and then trying your best. And therefore at home in the beginning we discussed Radha Krishna worship is not recommended. So we get Gaur-Nitai deities or Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani, who are even more merciful. They do not consider any offenses. Therefore, they have come specially for the fallen souls of Kali Yuga, like myself. So, it is absolutely not an offense at home.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay.
And another question is, that to offer worship to the deity without worshipping Vaikuntha deities like Ganesha. I have a confusion here.
Yeah, actually this was the 0.01% I was referring to. I didn't say the direct question. So I directly asked this question. So this came up in the recent discussion in the Nectar of Devotion class. So yeah, so it is very, very minor thing. That's not major in the minor, but you have to follow the acharyas, and as Goswami Prabhu directly said that if one is worshipping Krishna while respecting the demigods, we don't offend them or we don't give them the position equal to the Supreme Lord. So that's not really required. One starts worship with taking the blessings from Guru Parampara and with proper respect to the demigods like Brahma, Ganesha, etc. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Okay. Let's read the next 2 paragraphs. Would someone like to read?
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. If one commits any of the above offenses, one must read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is confirmed in the Skanda Purana, Avanti Khanda. Similarly, there is another injunction stating that one who reads the 1,000 names of Vishnu can be released from all offenses. In the same Skanda Purana, Revakhanda, it is said that one who recites prayers to Tulsi or sows a Tulsi seed is also freed from all offenses. Similarly, one who worships the Shalagram Shila can be also relieved of offenses. In the Brahmanda Purana, it is said that one who worships Lord Vishnu, whose 4 hands bear a conch shell, disc, lotus, flower and club, can be relieved from the above offenses. In the Adi Badha Purana, it is said that a worshipper who has committed offenses may fast for 1 day at the holy place known as Shoukarab and then bathe in the Ganges. In the process of worshipping the deity, it is sometimes enjoined that one worship the deity within the mind. In the Padma Purana, Uttarakhanda, it is said all persons can generally worship within mind. The Gautamiya Tantra states, for a sannyasi who has no home, worship of the deity within the mind is recommended. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is stated by Lord Narayana that worship of the deity within the mind is also Manasya Puja. One can become free from the 4 miseries by this method. Sometimes worship from the mind can be independently executed. According to the instructions of Abhiratra Muni, one of the noble Yogendras, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagvatam, one may worship the deity by chanting all the mantras. 8 kinds of deities are mentioned in the Shastra, and the mental deity is one of them. In this regard, the following description is given: Brahma Vaivarta Purana. So, before we learn the offenses, then we can make during the worship of deity. And here we see, if we make any mistakes knowingly, so we can have some atonement process by reading at least 1 chapter of Bhagavad Gita, or reciting the 1,000 names of Vishnu, or reciting prayers to Tulsi Devi, or planting Tulsi seed, worshipping Shalagram Shila, or 4-hand Vishnu form, or fasting a day in a holy place, and then bathing in the Ganges. That helps us to overcome the offense if we do during the deity worship. And in next para, there is a process called Manusya Puja, the puja that can be offered through our mind, even not having any paraphernalia or even deity in front of us. So, especially in this Kali Yoga, we're moving from place to place, and almost every day, and I see my devotee friends who are in the IT, they're moving from every week, or they move from here to there. So it's not possible for them to do all the things. And for us also, sometimes we're so busy traveling, working, driving. So we can do the prayer through our mind, concentrate our mind to the deity, that will be accepted also. And I was listening one lecture of Amarendra Prabhu, where he's telling that is a Kali Yoga. So we see that in India, after the invasion of the Muslims and then English, especially in the Muslim era, we saw a lot of destruction of the temples and deities. And it's still going on. Even nowadays, in the name of advancement of like road construction and other things, sometimes temples are destroyed or taken other places. So as the Kali Yuga will advance, more and more this type of sinful activities we may see, and especially the great devotees like Vaishnavas, who are the devotees of the pure devotees of the Lord, will come a lot of these type of obstacles in their prayer. But Mahaprabhu gave us very easy way, even without the deity, even without any paraphernalia, even without moving our lips, just keeping our tongue inside and closing our mouth, lips closed, we can keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Even the enemy of devotees standing beside us will not be able to look at us as a devotee, but inside we'll keep chanting. And even staying with those type of people, we get liberated by grace of Mahaprabhu. Back to Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. I was just thinking of another reflection. If we see how many references Prabhupada has used in just this section of the purport, he's mentioning Varaha Puran says this, Skanda Puran says this, Avnihotra Muni says this, Adivara Purana says this, other scriptures say this. Can we imagine 50 years back, Prabhupada? Nowadays it may be relatively easy to Google, but 50 years back there was no such thing practically. Correct me if I'm wrong. All these things came recently, only like 10, 20, 30 years back. So this shows the empowerment Krishna gave to Srila Prabhupada to give us the essence, to refer the things. Otherwise, if we read this Puran, that Puran, all we'll get is confusion. Like Srila Vyasadeva all got confused after writing so much Puran. But Srila Prabhupada time and again refers, different tantras or Uttarakhanda, Padma Purana, Varaha Purana, just to emphasize on the fact which Srimad Bhagvatam is teaching. So it really, it is so amazing. Just imagine ourselves in that situation, 50 years back, 70-year-old man, giving these Bhaktivedanta purports. So this again and again shows that, as Prabhupada said, I didn't write these purports, Krishna told me. Which we can really understand how Krishna was telling Prabhupada to write these Bhaktivedanta purports, empowering him to give this for the 10,000 years of Kali Yuga. So it's a side point, but it came to my mind while reading. There's so much reference, and imagine how much how Prabhupada wrote. I cannot imagine. Okay, let's complete this section of Arcanam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, please, Mataji.
I'm sorry, I could not hear earlier clearly. I hope this voice is good. In the city of Pratisthanapura, long ago, there resided a Brahmana who was poverty-stricken but innocent and not dissatisfied. One day he heard a discourse in an assembly of Brahmanas concerning how to worship the deity in the temple. In that meeting, he also heard that the deity may be worshipped within the mind. After this incident, the Brahmana, having bathed in the Godavari river, began mentally worshipping the deity. He would wash the temple within his mind, and then in his imagination he would bring water from all the sacred rivers in golden and silver water pots. He collected all kinds of valuable paraphernalia for worship, and he worshipped the deity very gorgeously, beginning from bathing the deity and ending with offering aarti. Thus he felt great happiness. After many years had passed in this way, one day within his mind he cooked nice sweet rice with ghee to worship the deity. He placed the sweet rice on a golden dish and offered it to Lord Krishna. But he felt that the sweet rice was very hot, and therefore he touched it with his finger. He immediately felt that his finger had been burnt by the very hot rice, and thus he began to lament. While the Brahmana was in pain, Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha began smiling, and the goddess of fortune inquired from the Lord why he was smiling. Lord Vishnu then offered his associates to bring the Brahmana to Vaikuntha. Thus the Brahmana attained the liberation of Samipya, the facility of living near the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hari Bol. What a perfect ending to this long section. This Brahmana from Pratisthanapura, a couple of days ago, he was mentioned in this class, and this is perfection of life to be so absorbed and imbibed in thoughts of deity and serving the deity that you cannot even imagine the hot rice being too hot for the Lord. This is a very elevated stage. I am in no position to comment on this or any other paragraphs that I read before. It just reminds me that how deity really helps us perfect deity worship, and there are a lot of nice pastimes in Jagannath deity worship that have been recounted, Rajapur Jagannath deities. And one small thing that comes to my mind is one time the Jagannath Pujari forgot to offer, could not bring the herbs to the Lord, and tulsi leaves to the Lord, and a few other things. It was a very simple prasadam plate, just a couple of tulsi leaves. And as soon as he was offering obeisances, this is a real pastime in ISKCON. And as soon as he opened his eyes, he offered obeisances and raised up, and he saw somebody had brought so many tulsi leaves and such a sumptuous prasadam, and he was so happy. And in another place, Narsingha appearance day is coming up, and one pujari was feeling very disheartened to worship Lord Narsingha Dev's deity in Mayapur. And one night he started running in his gamcha in ecstasy. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Oh my God, I'm so happy. And the others asked, what happened? Are you gone crazy? He said, no, Lord Narsingha Dev came, and he said, it's okay. I want to be worshipped by you. And there were some marks on his body, I think. So it just reminds me of those two pastimes. Back to you, Prabhu. Please add. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, sorry, I was on mute. I've shared a picture with everyone. Everyone can open that. A lot of do's and don'ts in deity worship. But I think the do's are more important. And then, as we discussed, that when we focus on the do's, while knowing the don'ts and trying our best to avoid. And Prabhupada mentions the sodasha upacara puja, not in the purport, but in the translation, the word to word, Prabhupada is mentioning the sodasha upacara puja. So there are multiple, upachar means articles, shodash means 16s. So there is like panch upachar, dash upachar, dwadash, 16 items, 12 items, 10 items, 5 items, 3 items, 2 items, and 1 item. And it's clearly mentioned in the picture I shared. So the 16 item includes everything, basically the abhishek and vastra, the alankar, dressing with ornaments. The 5 items which are done: incense, flowers, dhupa, deepa, and Naivedya. Then if one cannot do that, okay, one do just Gandha and Pushpa, like incense and flowers. But one thing which is, the last line of that page, the single upachara that must be offered with or without other the upachara is Bhakti. All these articles, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam, Yome, Bhaktya Prayachati. So Krishna sees the love and devotion with which we offer any article, not the how we rotate it, what fashion, what style, and that's not all external, but what is in our consciousness. So bhakti must be there with offering every and any article. And just to sum up this section, as I said, there is good, better, best. So we know where we are, and we know the goal, we know the do's, we know the don'ts. Let's try to follow the best we can and continuously keep improving. Any comments or questions? Okay.
Prabhuji, can I ask?
Please.
From yesterday, I missed the weekend classes. So, what is the difference between the meditation and perfect meditation? Like in page 231, the 5 kinds of remembering. So, meditation is concentrating upon a particular form of the Lord, and perfect meditation, this is called Dhruvanusriti, concentrating one's mind continuously on the form of the Lord. What is the difference in between?
Very good question, Prabhu. I think the critical word is continuously. The critical word which I feel is the difference is the word continuous. A pure devotee is always thinking of Krishna, like the Prahlad Maharaj, who is the Acharya of this Smaranam process. His meditation was so fixed, always thinking of Krishna, continuous. Ahetuki apratihata. Apratihata means without break, continuous. But others who may be meditating, like the one step below their meditation, they have to really try, That's what I feel is the difference, the word continuously.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And one more thing, like, what is the difference between deity worship and the lotus feet of the Lord? Like, it is mentioned here, in this Kali Yuga, even without deity worship, everything can be perfectly performed simply through hearing, chanting, remembering, and worship of the lotus feet of the Lord.
Yeah, so all these processes are interlinked, like as this Brahmana, the story we just read. What is it doing? Is it doing deity worship, or is it doing Padasevanam, or is it doing Smaranam? What is it doing? It's doing all those actually. So all these processes are interlinked, and we discussed that the Pancharatrika Vidhi and the Bhagavat Vidhi we have to follow in parallel. And amongst the 64 items, Srila Rupa Goswami said 5 are most critical: Sadhu Sangha, Namakirtan, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vasa, Shri Murtira, Shraddhaya Sevana. So we have to nicely balance. Deity worship is important. Holy name also is important. Now, a nice balance is required. So generally, if a person is coming first time, we will not talk about deity worship to that person. One has spent a few months, started chanting, started following the basic rules and regulations, then we will encourage, okay, why don't you get a lamination? Why don't you put Prabhupada on an altar? So we will start, okay, now can you start offering some fruits to the Lord, some water, some tulsi, step by step. That's deity worship. It's lamination, it's absolutely fine. Krishna can manifest in the paper form out of the eight types like clay, metal, wood, etc. Mind. paper is also one form. So a right, mature balance is required. One cannot say, oh, I'll just chant, I'll just hear. Well, are we like Haridas Thakur? Although all these 9 are so potent that if anyone just perfects one, absolutely success is guaranteed. Because the thing is, everything is interlinked. Like we discussed the example of reading Bhagavatam. Now, reading Bhagavatam in Shravanam is happening. Mental, we are thinking about Krishna. We are chanting His name, form, qualities. The Bhagavatam is book, and worshipping the book Bhagavatam or Krishna is by reading. So that's also deity worship. As Brother Prabhu said, Pada Sevanam, Canto 1 and 2 are like the path of the lotus feet of the Lord. So everything is interlinked. Therefore, perfection in one also would lead to the result, but Kali Yuga beings, what to do? We can't chant 24 hours, we can't do deity worship 24 hours, we can't read Bhagavatam 24 hours. Therefore, Prabhupada and Acharyas are very intelligent, who are giving a very nice package. Okay, now you have chanted, you must be looking for something else. Kali Yuga being. Okay, now you engage in deity worship. You can't do deity worship whole day. Okay, now why don't you cook for Krishna? Okay, now you're done with cooking. Why don't you do some kirtan? Why don't you sit with your family and read Bhagavad Gita now? Why don't you go out and distribute some books or prasadam, something, so that our monkey mind can be busy with so much variety, variegatedness, spiritual variegatedness, and still we rendering those major limbs of bhakti. That's my understanding. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, we will stop here and continue tomorrow. We'll complete this chapter, purport tomorrow. Granthraj Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupad ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.